All right, today we're going to look at how to actually start a C++ program using a product that we use called Visual Studio. So you're going to click on the Start menu and go to All Programs, and you'll notice that there's an icon here in the top part that says Visual Studio 2015. It has a purple megaphone. You want to make sure you select that one. Don't try and scroll down and pick it from someplace else. When it opens up to this screen, we're going to go to New Project. Now at this screen, you've got to make sure that Visual C++ is selected. Right now, Visual Basic is selected, so we're going to close that and we're going to open up Visual C++. And what we want to do, when you click on that, we want to do the Win32 console application. Notice I'm clicked on the words Visual C++, nowhere else. So the Win32 console applications, I'm going to come down here and give it a meaningful name. So don't name all of your programs number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. And the reason for that is because in the future, I'm going to be going back and asking you to open up certain programs and modifying them, and it doesn't make any sense if you don't name them properly. So we're going to name this one Hello World. Now the second important part on this screen, right here where it says location, mine is already defaulted to H. You've got to make sure that the default location is your network drive, which is H. It defaults currently to the hard drive. So if you save your programs to the hard drive, it will possibly get erased. So you're going to go to Browse. And under Browse, you're going to come down here and you're going to find your name. So look for your name, and that's your H drive or your login. And notice it should just say H here. If you choose to make a folder for our class, you're welcome to do that. You can create a folder and call it C++ or whatever class period you have it, and you can do that. And then we're going to click on OK. Now we're going to get this screen. So what we want to do here is we want to do an application setting. We want to choose empty project. If you choose any of these other options, you get a whole lot of header files and things that are being opened that you don't want. Then we're going to click finished. Sometimes this will take longer depending on whether it's your first time opening up the program. So it just depends. Okay, so notice that we've got a blank blue screen here. I don't really have any ability to type. So we're going to go over here where it says Source Files, right below Hello World. We're going to go to Source Files. We're going to right-click on Source Files, and it says Add. And then under that, it says New Item. Okay, so again, I went to Source Files, Add, New Item. Now I want to make sure it says C++ file.cpp here at the top. You don't need to change the source.cpp. You can just leave it as the default. If you choose to change it, that's up to you. And we're going to click on Add. And now you'll notice that you've got a screen. The cursor's flashing in the white screen, and I have the ability to type if I want to. So we're going to type a very simple program. So we're going to type pound include, and then iostream, and then we're going to do, I'm going to move my mouse, sorry, and we're going to do pound include, or that could be hashtag include if you want to, iomanip, and then we're going to type using name space std, and we have to put the semicolon at the end of this line. And then we're going to create our int main. And inside of our int main, we're going to declare a character variable. And we're going to cout hello world. And we're going to go to the next line. Let's see if I can get my case looking a little bit better here. So we're going to make the H capital and the O lower. And all of our C++ lines end in a semicolon. And then we're going to type another cout statement. And then we're going to type a cin statement. Whoops. And then we're going to return 0. So a few of the just basics, we're going to go over this in a lot more detail. So the char ch, this line that we typed here, we're declaring a variable. This sets up memory location for this variable. Let's see if I can spell world right. Okay, and then this cout statement means it's outputting information to your monitor, or it could be to a file. Eventually we'll be talking about that. This is another cout statement. The ENDL at the end of the line is saying go to the next line. It's end line, so that tells the computer to go to the next line. And then we have the cin, which means I'm inputting information and I'm inputting that character. And then return 0 excuse me, goes at the end of every C++ program. And that is just basically closing all open memory so that it frees up all available memory for the computer. So that's how you write your program. So up here you'll notice that there's a debug option, and over here it says local Windows debugger. If I click on that local Windows debugger, we're always going to get this message. Just say yes to it. It takes just a second. And you should get this black screen that pops up that says the hello world that you entered, and then it says press S to stop. And in this case, it's actually going to let me press any key to stop. But if I press S and then press enter, it does stop the program. So this is some basic information. If I take the end L out, I just want you to see what happens when I do that. If I take that out, and I run the program again, and I have to debug in order to get it to accept the changes. So see what happens is it printed the word hello world, and there's no space there, and then it printed press S to stop. So it didn't move to the next line after it printed hello world. So it's basically like pressing the enter key on the keyboard when you do that, or on a typewriter or something like that. So we're going to put that indel back in there. So notice that these symbols that we have here are called extractors. So those go between, and this symbol right here is called an inserter. So the double arrows are either extractors or inserters. A lot of times I'll just call those your double arrows. Up here at the top, the include files. These are header files that are built into C++. We will always use IOStream and IOManip, so you will always have those two files as includes. We will be adding more files as time goes on to improve our functionality of our program. So just keep those things in mind. The using namespace std, that is a requirement of Visual Studio. So if you ever are working with a C++ program at home or something, you may not need that line. That is a specific to Visual Studio product. Int main. Every program that you write will have an int main. So the main is the main driver. It is the program that is going to run everything in the computer, everything in your program. It's going to call all your functions. It's going to do all the work. So at the beginning of the year, our int mains are going to be very long, because they're going to contain all of our programming code. And as the year progresses and we get into functions and procedures, then our main program will become shorter and we will be breaking apart our code. So I hope this helps.